So y'all know how we do it over here. This is the 5th list of the top 10. You got to have played 41 games to make your list. We go by where you spent most of your minutes. Am I dark on this side? Do I need to turn that light on? We go by where you spent most of your minutes. So there's some guys who, if you watch, like if you guys are fans through the wire, they had some guys who I'm not going to have. Like Sabonis, he was on the power forward list. Pascal Siakam, he was on the power forward list. You can even make the argument that LeBron James should be in this list because he really did play so many minutes at center. He was on the power forward list. But some guys who aren't going to be on this list because they didn't play enough games. Anthony Davis isn't here. Kristaps Porzingis, I don't have on here. I know some people might consider him a center. I don't have him on this list. But yeah, had to play 41 games. We go by minutes played and where you play most of your minutes. Top 10 centers. Y'all know how we do. Let's go ahead and get into it. By the way, if you don't know, if you are new watching this, the center list, all my top tier lists, all my top tier 10 lists are based on the previous season. So this is based on the 2021, 2022 season. So Cat was a center last year. I know he played a lot of time with Jarrett Vanderbilt. I'm not putting him as a power forward, though. I'm putting him as a center. I know he played a lot of time with Jarrett Vanderbilt before the Timberwolves fans go crazy. He's a center still to me. I got my first one right here. We're going to go ahead and hop right into it. Let me pull my notes up. At number 10, where's he at? I'm going Bobby Portis. Bobby Portis had a really, really good season. I'm going to pull the stats up for you so you know. Bobby Portis had a really, really good season. He was a guy who stepped up big for the Bucks, especially with the start of the season without Brook Lopez. He showed and proved that he's able to stretch the floor. Defense might not be as good as maybe Brook Lopez's is, but he was really, really good for them. He surprised me a lot, especially in the playoffs, hitting some post fades, some turnaround hook shots. Like he has really expanded his game a lot outside of just a guy who can rim run, a guy who can, catch and shoot. He can do a little bit with the ball and, has a little post game, little post bag to him. And he brings a lot of energy to that Buck squad. I like him a lot. And I can get some people having him as a power forward, but because I had Giannis in my power forward list, Bobby Portis defaults to the center for me. But if you had it switched and Bobby Portis was the power forward and Giannis was your center, I would understand that as well. Well, I'll tell you who my honorable mentions are after we get rid of number 9, because after that, you can kind of be able to tell probably who didn't make the list. At number 9, this is where I have Time Lord. My guy, Time Lord, Robert Williams III. Defensively, to me, he was the core of that Celtics defense. I know Marcus Smart won Defensive Player of the Year, but I think partially he might have won it because Time Lord spent some time out of the lineup due to injury this season. But he is the heart and soul of that defense in my mind. To me, he probably should have been the guy who won Defensive Player of the Year. He's one of the best defensive big men in the league. He's super versatile, and he does a lot considering how, in my mind, undersized he is. He's only, I want to say he's like 6'10". He might be 6. He's 6'8". Like he's a 6'8" center. So he's low-key Draymond running around. But he's very versatile. He's able to contain guards on some hedges in the pick and roll situations. And offensively, he's not bad either. Like he's a strong finisher around the rim. He can catch lobs. He finishes strong and dunks a lot around the rim. Considering his height, he's a very, very impactful defender. He had to make this list for me. Because y'all know I love defense. Vucevic is my honorable mention. I wanted to put him on here because although Bulls fans will tell me they didn't love him this season, which is understandable. Defensively, he leaves a lot to be desired. And offensively, I don't think, at least to me, he didn't feel like how he felt in Orlando. But you also have to understand and remember that was when the defense was running through him. He doesn't necessarily also even feel like he stretches the floor as well as he did in his Orlando days. At least that's the feel I get. Let me pull up his numbers. I meant to have all these together already, but some of them I have, some of them I don't. Like he shot 31% from the 3 this season, which considering when you look at his last year, he was 38. His, time in Orlando right before he got traded, he was at 40% from 3 on 6 threes a game. If he can get back to at least 35, 38 like he did last year on 5 of 6 attempts, like I don't know what it is with Vooch, but he definitely feels like he's regressing. I mean, he's only 31. I say only, but in terms of shooting, I don't think that was something, your age shouldn't be something that regresses your shooting ability. He definitely leaves a lot to be desired defensively, but he's not bad. 17-11 is not bad. I just wish his shooting splits were a little bit better. So he's the honorable mention on his list. Cat's out the bag there. Yes, the other honorable mention is also Clint Capella. He had a really good season. I like his game a lot. I do feel like he's regressing a little bit in terms of the idea of Clint Capella and what we know what he can be. I think his defense is slowing down a little bit. And what I mean by that is in terms of his versatility and guarding pick and rolls and switching on the guards. I don't think he has the foot speed that he had in his younger years. Defensively at the rim, he's still an elite rim protector, and I think that's the value that the Hawks want from him. It would just be a nice bonus if he can, be a little more versatile on guards. But he's still an excellent pick and roll partner with Trae Young. He still catch lobs and finish well around the rim. He just, to me, he's probably in that, once again, very similar to Vucevic. He's in that 11, 12, 13 range for me. At the number 8 spot, this is where I have Jonas Valanciunas. I think he had a low-key underrated season this year. He played really, really well for the Pelicans. At one point, he was legitimately leading the league in three-point percentage. He was like 40% to start the season for like the first month or two. He kind of dwindled down a little bit, but he finished the season at 36% from three on, not crazy volume at 2 threes a game, but I can definitely see this upcoming season with Zion being there and being in the paint as much as Zion's going to be. I can see Jonas Valanciunas trying to spread out that floor a little more and more, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see him jump up to like 4 attempted threes a game. And if he can hover around 35% on 4 attempted threes a game, that'll do very well for the Pelicans in terms of spreading the floor. He's a rebounding beast. Defensively, he's not like amazing, but his strength and his ability to just be a strong body in the paint allows him to defend the rim really, really well. But he might not have the foot speed to keep up with some faster centers, some faster power forwards, and gets mixed up a little bit in pick and roll situations. But when it comes to rim protection, not necessarily because of his athleticism in terms of blocking shots, but just being a strong body in the paint, he's a solid rim protector. Number 7, this is where I have Jared Allen. Jared Allen had an absolutely amazing season. I know some of y'all said y'all wanted to see him top 5, but I think the top 5 centers, you'll understand why I have him where I have him in a second. But Jared Allen had a really, really, really good season. Defensively, he was so impactful to the Cavaliers defense. Cavaliers had one of the top defenses in the league. When he went down, it dropped basically immediately. It was a night and day difference from when Jared Allen is and is not on the floor. And for a guy who doesn't necessarily have a crazy offensive bag at the center position in terms of post game, he's active. He's one of the centers that move around the most when it comes to making smart cuts, making smart reads, and just being in the right place at the right time for this past season. What was just Darius Garland being able to find him on cuts, on lobs, situations like that, but now playing alongside Donovan Mitchell, another really solid playmaker and a guy who can create his own shots, spread the floor, put the ball in the basket, and create for others. Jared Allen's, I can see being prepped to have an even bigger season. And it's crazy to think and say, I hope I'm wrong, but I feel like we might have seen Jared Allen's ceiling when it comes to at least what he can do offensively. Because like I said, he's not necessarily a guy who has shown signs, to me at least, of an amazing post game or a guy that you necessarily want to dump the ball into in the post. But defensively, absolutely amazing. We know what he can do there defensively. But offensively, I think very similar to Rudy Gobert, a lot of his buckets are going to come from pick and roll situations, being in the right place at the right time, dunker spot, dump off from a driving guard, things like that, which isn't a bad thing at all. He averaged 16 and 10, shooting 67% from the field off of smart cuts and, finishing well around the rim. I just don't know if he's ever going to get to a guy that we see giving us like 20 and 10. I just don't see that for him. But I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing either. At number 6 is where I have DeAndre Ayton. So if you have Allen at 6 and Ayton at 7, I'm not mad at it. I did go back and forth between those two for a little bit. And the reason I put Ayton over Allen is because, just like I said about Jared Allen, is I don't see that post game from him. There are times when I see that post game and I see that dominance from DeAndre Ayton. And Sunsgeek alluded to it in the chat. He did just get that bag. He did just get paid. And what we want to see from him is, I'm sure Suns fans and just NBA fans in general, the next step for him is to be like, hey, I'm trying to, I'm coming in and I'm getting 20 a game this year. Like, that's the type of leap I want from him. I want a consistent 20 a game from Ayton. Because if he can do that, I think that would go a very, very long way for the Suns in general. But I think that would also go towards legitimizing some of the doubts that people have on his contract. But defensively, to me, obviously, he's not as good as Jared Allen. I think Jared Allen is one of the best defenders in the league. But defensively, he's still really, really solid. He can still rebound well. And offensively, I think he's already shown a higher ceiling to me than Jared Allen. And I think he has the potential to take that ceiling to an even higher step. So that's why, for me, DeAndre Ayton's at number 6. But once again, if you have Allen at 6 and Ayton at 7, I'm not mad at that. I do think those two guys could be interchangeable. But Ayton gets that nod from me. I just wish he could just give me the consistency, because I think the game is there. Like when I watch DeAndre Ayton's game, in some games, it's like, yo, this man can really go and get a bucket. He can really defend well. Like he has the IQ. Like sometimes he can really look like a dominant force on the court. And then there are other times when it's just like, yeah, he just doesn't seem like he's imposing his will all the time. And I think he has the ability to be the type of center who imposes his will on the game. And I think that's what fans want from him. At number 5, maybe controversial, this is where I have Rudy Gobert. I love Rudy Gobert. I think, let me slide it over. I love Rudy Gobert. Absolutely love Rudy Gobert. I think he's still a top 5 center in the NBA. I think he's the best rim protecting center in the NBA. I will die on that hill. I love what Jared Allen brings to the, defense. I love what Time Lord brings defensively. But when it comes to protecting the paint, protecting the rim, to me, Rudy Gobert is hands down the best rim protecting center in the NBA. Are there limitations to his game? Sure, 100%. That's why he's only number 5 for me. But when it comes to defending the rim, there's nobody better in the league at it. And he can finish well around the paint. I want to say average 16, 17 last year. Let's look it up. Rudy. No, not Rudy Gay. Although all the Kings fans would be happy. Especially Rudy Gay in the Discord. Rudy Gobert. Yeah. He gave us 15.6. He gave us 15 and 14 on 71% from the field. I know Rudy doesn't have a post game. I know there's plenty of memes, and we just saw the one like a week and a half ago, Rudy trying to do a little post move over Dennis Schroeder and missed the layup over a guy who's like 6'3" and he's 7'1". He doesn't have a post game. Are there limitations to his game? Yes. But can he finish around the rim like one of the best guys in the league? Yes. Is he the best paint defender in the league? In my mind, to me, yes. And that alone solidifies him as top 5. Are there limitations to his game? Sure. Can he get killed if he has to guard somebody on the perimeter? Yes. But in that situation, when he was on the Utah Jazz, all of those limitations, yes, there were limitations to his game, but it wasn't all on his fault when it came down to how the Utah Jazz maybe would fall apart in the playoffs and things like that. Because at the same time, the Jazz have never, and I mean never, put any good perimeter defenders around Rudy Gobert. The whole time he was there, everybody on the perimeter was trash at defense, and they still were consistently a top 5 in defense. That's all because of Rudy Gobert, and for that, he's top 5. All right, at number 4, who do we have at number 4? At number 4, a lot of y'all called it. This is where I have Bam Adebayo. He gets the nod to me over Rudy because, once again, I've called Rudy the best paint defender in the league, but while Bam is very, very good at defending the paint as well, and he brings some of that versatility. He's able to switch on some guards. He's able to hedge really, really well. He's able to, hedge and then sprint back and defend the pick and roll and things like that. He has the ability to, I say stretch the floor in quotation marks because it's not really all the way out to the 3-point line, but that mid-range game is pretty solid. I wish he was just more aggressive offensively. I think Bam has the opportunity and the ability to, call me crazy, he can break into that top 3 and maybe take one of these top 3 spots, maybe just the 3rd. I don't know if he's taking the number 1 and 2, but he has that ability. I think like that could be his ceiling. It just comes from he needs to be more aggressive offensively for the Miami Heat. Just period. For the Heat to be successful this upcoming season, he has to be more aggressive offensively because they didn't really do anything to add more offense. We've talked about this on end countless times on the stream and in my content that the Heat's, to me at least, how I'm looking at it, the Heat's plans for next season to get better offensively is just their players getting better. And one of the main player that has to get better offensively is Bam Adebayo. We know what he can do defensively. Defensively, heck, I don't even know how he can get better defensively besides maybe getting faster and then really being able to guard guards on the perimeter. So defense, we know who he is. He's absolutely amazing. Offensively, though, I would just like to see him be a little more aggressive. At number 3, this is where I have Karl-Anthony Towns. Karl-Anthony Towns, to me, probably had the best season of his career last year. The numbers, I haven't looked at them in a while. The numbers might not necessarily say that. Like I'm pulling them up right now. Yeah, the numbers, I'll be honest, might not necessarily say that in terms of the points per game, but he went from 38% from 3 to 41% from 3 this past season. He took a couple less threes, but he also went from 48% from the field to 52% from the field. His shooting splits, got way better. Defensively, you know what you get from Cat. Not a lot. That's not why he's on the floor. He's going to get you about 10 rebounds a game, but he's not going to do a whole lot else defensively. I can talk at length about the whole Rudy Gobert, the Rudy Gobert, Karl Anthony Towns teaming up situation. We've talked about it before. I'm sure we'll talk about it in the future. I don't love him. I don't love the idea of him defending the perimeter. I'll just leave it at that. But offensively, Cat is him. Offensively, Karl Anthony Towns is a him. Now, these past playoffs, I will admit, I was highly disappointed in his play in the playoffs, mainly because he just was inconsistent. There was games where, like, you'd look up and Cat was either fouling out in the playoffs, scoring like 15, 10 in the playoffs. Like, he did not look like the Karl Anthony Towns that we had saw all season, especially in that Grizzlies series. He did not look like himself. I don't know what it was. I know he's a guy who's been through a lot, with his mother passing for COVID and all that. Like, I don't mean to say it like all that, like it ain't nothing. So I know he's a guy who's been through a lot. But he just was not himself offensively at all. Not at all. Just in that playoff series. For the regular season, he, like I said, he had the best season of his career, in my opinion. All right. So number 1 and 2. Number 1 and 2. Y'all know what I want to do. Y'all know. I ain't even really got to say it. Y'all in the chat know who I want to put at number 1 and who I want to put at number 2. Y'all know. Y'all know. Y'all know. Hey, Marin saying do it. Rex saying don't. Y'all know what I want to do here. Hey, Reaper said don't play. Hey, who playing? Who playing? You feel me? Who is playing? You better not about this. Hey, Guru, it's not that crazy, bro. It's really not that crazy. I get Jokic won MVP. I get it. I get Jokic won MVP, but it's also a voted for award. And I want to say I said it on stream. I know I feel like I can go back and find a clip. I feel like I said it on stream. I feel like I can go back and find a clip. Once James Harden was traded to the Sixers, I said, well, Joel's not winning MVP because they wouldn't give it to him after that because they're like, you got Harden now. You don't need MVP. But it's really not that crazy. Man, I'm standing 10 toes down on what I got to say. Jokic is number 2. Joel is number 1. Y'all can hate. I'm standing 10 toes down on what I have to say, and I'm going to tell you exactly why. This is no disrespect to the 2-time back-to-back MVP. I respect his game a ton. It's literally like 1A and 1B for me. What gives me the edge for Joel is the defense. Yes. Is Jokic a bad defender? No, not at all. Jokic is not a bad defender. Jokic is actually a good defender. He's gotten way better than he has in his past couple of seasons, and I think he still, for some reason, holds that stigma as a bad defender. I just don't think people watch Nuggets games. To keep it a bean, they look at the box score. They don't really see a lot of blocks. The rebounding is there, but they might not see a lot of blocks. But when it comes to defending the rim, Jokic, very similar to what I said about Valanciunas, because he's that big body, he can play a lot of very good hands-up defense and alter a lot of shots around the rim. So props to Jokic. And we all know best playmaking center of all time. And heck, somebody said it. I want to say, who said that? My guy John in our Let's Talk 2 episode where we talked about the Nuggets. Shameless plug once again. He called Jokic the best draft pick of all time, and that's facts. So no disrespect to Jokic. But to me, the best center last season was Joel Embiid. The best center last season was Joel Embiid. Offensively, what he was doing, the offensive load that he carried for the Sixers, especially before Harden got there, was absolutely amazing. All his numbers went up compared to last season. The moves he was able to be pulling out of his bag when it comes from a step back jumper to a turnaround to post hooks to post fades to bullying in the paint to playing well in transition, getting up and down the court. Defensively, he was absolutely amazing, being able to block shots, deter shots around the rim, kind of hedge and switch on the guards. Nothing crazy, like not to the level of like a Bam Adebayo, but serviceable for sure. Really, really solid. Hey, you can say it's a homer pick. You can say I'm a Sixers fan. You can call me a casual. You can say it's an L, but I'm standing 10 toes down on this because to me, Joel was my MVP pick for most of the season. And like I said, he only didn't get the MVP because once James Harden got traded and Jokic was still winning games without Jamal Murray and MPJ, which is much respect. No disrespect to Jokic over here. But for me, it's Joel number 1, Nikola Jokic number 2. I'm standing 10 toes down on it. You feel me? I'm standing 10 toes down on it. And you can clip that. You know what I mean? You might even see this on the TikTok later, but 10 toes down, Joel Embiid was the number 1 center in my mind. But it's like I said, it's not really, I'm not trying to disrespect Jokic because I know somebody going to like watch this later and be like, oh, this guy's crazy. This guy's crazy. This guy's crazy. It's literally 1A, 1B. So if your list is Jokic number 1, and I've said this all season, I can't be mad at that. If your list got Jokic number 1, I really can't be mad at that because it's 1A, 1B for me. We're literally living in an era, 2 of the most talented centers we've ever seen. And I'm ready to stamp that. We're living in an era with 2 of the most talented centers we've ever seen. So top 10 center list to go over everything: Joel Embiid, Nikola Jokic, Karl-Anthony Towns, Bam Adebayo, Rudy Gobert, DeAndre Ayton, Jared Allen, Jonas Valanciunas, Robert Williams III, and then Bobby Portis. Honorable mentions: Clint Capella and I'm looking at his name, I can't think of it. Honorable mentions: Clint Capella and Nikola Vucevic.